plugins Equalizer. With this plugin, you can easily make sure elements have equal heights. So for these examples, we have some grid systems here with cells, and then we use the callout container component with various colors to show these examples. And then we have small and large images. So here we see the small image, the large image, and the small image again. So notice how the first and last cell is taking up the same height as the middle one. We can also equalize on stack. So the basic behavior is that they don't take up the same height when they are stacked, but we can make them do so if we want. So now this one equalize on stack. We can also make them equalize on breakpoint. So notice that this example is have not been equalized yet, but now when we reach the large breakpoint right there, it will become equalized with the same height. We can also nest elements and equalize them. We'll see how we can do that in more detail later on. Finally, we can also equalize by row, so it will automatically look at each row, for example in a grid block, and then adjust the height of the cells in each row. We'll take a closer look at that as well. Let's get started. So as I said, for these examples, we have some grid systems with cells that has the callout inside with different colors and either a small or a large image. So if you take a look at this first example here, we can see that they don't have the same height by default. So we'll make them have the same height by using this Equalizer plugin. To do this, we add the data Equalizer attribute to the parent element, and then to each element that we want to have the same height, we must add the data Equalizer watch attribute. Now let's save, go back and refresh. And now we can see that they have the same height. On medium and small device sizes, when they don't stack, we can see that when they are stacked, they are not equalized by default. So this first example has a 3-column layout for large devices and up, but for medium, breakpoints and down, they are stacked, so they are not equalized. We can make them equalized if we want, even though they are stacked. So we have the same grid system down here. And now we'll also add the data Equalizer attribute, but also the data equalize on stack attribute with the value true. And as before, we must add the data Equalizer watch. Now let's save, go back and refresh. Here we can see it has been equalized on stack, and also of course when it's turned into a 3-column row. So now it's equalized across all breakpoint sizes. Alright, we can also set the breakpoint when we want this equalize to happen. So to do this, we go back in the code editor, we add the data Equalizer. It's not easy to spell. The data Equalizer attribute, and then the data Equalize on, and then the value should be our breakpoint. So we'll make it the large breakpoint, and we'll add the data Equalize watch to the children element. Data Equalizer watch. Now let's go back and refresh. So we can see currently right now on small and medium devices, they have not been equalized yet, even though it's turned into a 3-column grid. If it were a basic one, like up here, it would have been equalized now. But then when we reach a large breakpoint, the equalization will happen. So that's how you can control that. Now let's look at nesting behavior. So in the code, we can see that we have 3 main cells with a callout each. And inside of the first cell in the callout, we have 3 more callouts. So it looks like this: 3 callouts in the first cell and 3 of the cells. We want these 3 in the first cell to be equalized on stack, that means on all device sizes, and we want the 3 main cells to equalize on the large device sizes. So to do this, we first add the data equalizer to the parent element, and then we give it the value parent so that we can differentiate between the parent and the child. So that's a way to nest this plugin. We add the data equalize on large. We want this to happen on large device sizes. And then we will add the data equalizer watch with the value parent. Now we'll create a new context for this device. So we'll do that on this callout here. So adding the class or the attribute data equalizer, this time with the value child. We'll also add the data equalize on stack with the value true, since we want these to equalize on stack. Now for these 3 callouts, we must add the data equalizer watch attribute with the value child. So these will be connected to this one, and the other 3 will be connected to this one. So this is nesting of the plugin. Now let's go back and refresh. We can see that initially here we have the first 3 of them being equalized on stack, and then when we reach the large breakpoint, the 3 main one has become equalized. On the medium breakpoint, the 3 main ones are still equalized, but not, or the 3 ones in the first one is still equalized, but not the 3 main ones. That happens on the large device size, as we just saw before. So this is how we can make use of nesting. Finally, let's look at how we can equalize by row. So it will consider each row and make sure that the columns inside have the same height. So we will scroll down here to our next example. We can see that we're using the block grid feature, where we want 3 blocks or cells to appear on each row for small devices and up, and then 4 of them of each row for medium devices and up, and then 6 on each row for large devices and up. And now on this main element, we'll add the data equalizer attribute and the data equalize by row attribute with the value true. And then for all of these callouts, I'll just select all of them carefully. We'll add our data equalizer watch. Now let's save this and go back and refresh. Before I refresh, notice that these cells just have different colors and 1, 2, or 3 of the small images inside. Now we can see across different breakpoints, we can see that each row has been equalized automatically. So This was all about how you can use the Equalizer plugin.